Hey everyone, welcome to a solo shoutcast. My name is Drybear, and today we'll be covering the myRevenge Cup finals between Juice Gaming and Procore Gaming. This was an excellent game, and if you had missed the chance to catch it when it was live not too long ago, I'm going to be covering it here. This is actually my very first shoutcast, so if you have any feedback for me or anything I can improve on, that will really help me expedite the process of improving my skill level as far as doing this and just getting into that arena by myself. But quickly, I'll cover the teams that are here. For Juice Gaming, we have Jerby playing on her, most likely me playing in the mid lane. We have Juice Xing on Artemis playing with his lane mate Sobek, Matty Pocket, and we're going to have on the right lane Anatoly on Amir playing with his lane buddy Lassus on Hebo. This is a heavy damage output team on the right lane here, but they're going to have a tough time against certain initiations just because Hebo is easily focused, but definitely has some good damage output and some good stability with the Amir. For PcG, we're going to have KO on Cupid playing with his lane mate Odin Sturmies, and we're going to have in the mid lane, we're going to have the best playing Agni, and over the left lane, we're going to have Ra played by Shadow Q, and then Zapman's going to be playing Sun Wukong. Now, what they're doing right now is they're going for an early buff, and this is a pretty common thing to do in the current meta. There's certain options you can do. If you only have two players, it's usually best to go for the medium camp buff. As you can see, Ra's taking a lot of damage from this buff here. Most likely going to have to go home. Get the buff. So he's probably going to go for the monkey here to get that buff there. And Shadow Q took a lot of damage. So definitely, if you don't have three players, you really need to go for the medium camp buffs. These only have about 700 HP. And if you look over here, you can see that Amir and Hebo ended up going for both buffs. And that's because Amir is just so tanky. And simply because Amir did end up going for Mark the Vanguard first, which is a very common support item. Support/tank item. This will give you really stable early game and also reduce the damage you take from minions, which means he can tank buff minions like that very, very easily. So Last is going to come out here, has the movement speed, and actually has level 2, so he'll have a water cannon and a water spout, so some good initiation coming out there. This is going to be a difficult lane starting out, and I retracted what I said earlier. They're actually going to have a bit of an advantage here just because Odin Cupid is an interesting lane, and all they really have is slows. The only stun they have is from Cupid, and if Cupid does not land the heart bomb or does not have enough stacks on his passive, he'll easily miss that out. Looks like he's going to go for a frost breath on top of him here. Goes for the water cannon. He's going to go for the water spout. The water spout does miss, but Amir is just tanking this up a little bit too much. You see, Lassus wasn't really in the front line there, but ended up taking a lot of damage. And that's one of the downfalls of having a Hebo in the side lane. He's just very easily killed. He's very, very squishy. So step away from the action for a moment here and check out the mid lane. We have an on her up against an Agni, and it's pretty even as far as the pushing goes here. Agni does have a bit of advantage as far as pushing early on. All on her has to push is Impale, which is actually a very good push, but starts out very weak. Around level 5 or 6 and upwards, he's able to clear waves pretty easily, but starting out, he can only do about 30% of the minions' HP and damage. Ignite comes out, lands the combustion passive, gonna go for a dash here, but impales him to the wall instead, takes some good initiation there, some good damage, and doesn't even get the Path of Flames off. And that was really good reaction there from Jerby, knowing that Agni wants to come around and Path of Flames through. There's several options for Agni to push the lane. One of them is to dash straight forward, which when you dash forward, let's say I'm on her right now, if I dash forward this way towards the enemy tower, I will be behind the enemy lane and I'll be exposed and be very susceptible to harassment and damage. The safest option is to run behind the enemy minions just like this, stand behind him and Path of Flames back towards your tower. This does expose you only for a short time when you're running behind the minions, but that's about it. And you can see that Agni actually hits level 5 here and uses the meteor to push, but Honor's having a tough time to defend this. This may change soon once Honor gets some good items up or a little bit more physical power and more points into his Impale. He'll easily be able to push this back about as fast as the Agni can, and while Agni has no meteors up, that'll be a tough time. So let's go over and check out the left lane and see how they're doing. We got initiation in the mid lane actually. Let's see if anything comes of this. The Impale does miss, Ignite comes out, and nothing comes out there. So let's check out the left lane here. We have Matty Pocket on Sobek and Xing on the Artemis pushing this up here. Ra's over here by himself. Looks like Wukong either did he go for a Heartseeker? He did. So there's several reasons why, and my thought process there is making sure that I wanted to know why he went back, and the reason he went back is because Heartseeker was done. If the lane is frozen well enough and you're not too concerned about anything, Ra can defend this pretty well. Ra has a very good push. So he went back, just finished his Heartseeker to start getting stacks on that immediately. I mean, he really needs to get those stacked up. And the longer this goes on, is if he doesn't get killed, the Heartseeker just gets more and more effective to the point where he has scary damage output, especially if he hits level 5, gets Year of the Monkey, has probably put out that Happy New Year, and drops some insane burst damage, because the damage will not only affect his basic attacks, but also his Furious Monkey and Overhead Smash, and do some excellent damage there. there. Both level 5 from Matty Pocket and Shing, so definitely that boar could come out, and also the ultimate from Sobek with the lurking in the water. So some good damage, good harassment coming out there. Need to be really careful because they actually have the HP advantage and the experience advantage. Ra still does not have Searing Pain, so he's in a rough spot here, no damage output, and it's a very difficult skill to land on competent players. That line shots are always very difficult. Ra is only really played in tanky surroundings, simply because if you're very tanky, you can stand right in front of him. If I was standing in front of Sobek, it's really hard to miss a line skill shot because he's not very far from me. So that's how it goes. Looks like Odin had to go back over here. They did pick up the medium buff, and looks like the blue camp is down as well. So they picked up that blue buff. Went to Cupid. Here comes the water spout, but Cupid's not really taking much damage here. Let's see what the item. He went for a Spear of the Magus first on the Hebo. And one thing I would like you guys to notice as well is the amount of active items up on the blue team here. Definitely 3 Aegis Amulets, and then the support will always have a different skill set. But definitely a very good idea to go for active items early on. There's a very few items. We've got some initiation over here in the left lane. Looks like a Charge Prey lands down, but not going to be enough to take him down. Unfortunately, Wukong actually gets picked off. Sorry I missed that action. I'm starting to get used to the fact that things are going on in multiple places. So it looks like it went for a Charge Prey. We have the ultimates went down. The board did go down from Artemis, so definitely some good initiation there. So Sobek didn't even have to use his ultimate, just Charge Prey into the boar and gets picked off. We got initiation over in the right lane. The Frost Breath just barely misses as Odin jumps out. That's really good reaction timing there from the Odin. He knew the Frost Breath was coming. He had to leap. He wasn't really in a position where he needed to position a leap, but he just really needed to avoid that Frost Breath. The mid lane's in a bit of a stalemate. It looks like Onher's tower has more damage done, and actually Agni has more gold or more experience than him. If we check out the gold numbers, we got 36-12 on the Agni. Onher has 34. So Onher is actually behind by about 200 gold. Some good damage coming out using the obelisk. This is a very good technique you can do here, guys. It's just if the obelisk comes up and you don't have any reason to back up, just stand behind the obelisk, and that way he can't hit you with basic attacks. That basically freezes the damage output for the duration of the obelisk, and it's a really good opportunity to do there. Hebo gets jumped on by the Odin here, but here comes the Frost Breath on top of him. The ultimate comes out, the Crushing Wave drops him almost immediately. Odin jumped in there to go after the Hebo and got some good harassment in, but was it worth it? I say no. He actually ends up getting caught in the forest as Anatoly comes behind him and Frost Breath him right into a Crushing Wave and a Water Cannon. So definitely some good damage output coming from the Hebo there, and a mere good presence of mind to come over there and help out the Hebo. We got some initiation in the left lane. Gets Charge Preyed on the Monkey, but the Monkey jumps out just in time. Actually gets picked off again. There's a bit of a lag here. So the Monkey got initiated on. Looks like was there a boar used? No, but there was a Lurking in the Waters who drops him down. Onher going after the Agni. Agni takes a weird route here. Gets picked by this. Gets kind of caught. Goes behind the obelisk. Onher in swift pursuit. Does Onher have an ultimate? Onher does have an ultimate. So might be able to go. Impales him. Goes for the Desert Fury. Path of Flames out just in time. Really good reaction. He was saving that Path of Flames just for the moment that the Desert Fury came out, so he could avoid most of the hits. The thing about the Desert Fury is it's very difficult to land all the shots on most people, especially if they have high mobility. I know high movement speed Raz that deal with that. It's hard to land those kind of abilities on them. Ra's doing his best to defend this up here, but the Monkey keeps getting picked. And the thing about the thing I would blame this most on is probably just the lane matchup. Ra is an excellent mid and can be a very good support, but it's just very difficult because Ra can't really do much to defend Monkey. He can heal him back up, and he has a slow. But if Sobek, Artemis decide they want to kill Monkey, there's not a whole lot Ra can do about it. They really need to take the command of the lane and push it back and put the enemy on the back foot for Ra to be a very good support, simply because there's not a whole lot Ra can do to help out Monkey if he gets caught, other than throwing down a Solar Blessing like he is right now and healing him back up. They need to have the damage output. Looks like they're both going to back up here. Happy New Year might come out. Does he have the Happy New Year? He does. Uses the sprint, but gets hit by the suppress, the insolent. Goes to the Happy New Year to defend himself here, and that's probably the smartest call he could have made. He steps on a trap and gets really low here and gets killed by the trap! Oh my god, that was so close. He had to use the Happy New Year defensively to try to defend himself out here. Did not have a leap. The sprint was down and steps on the trap, and the trap actually was enough damage to take him down. Huge mistake there. So definitely you see the problem here. Sun Wukong was about this far out in the lane, and as soon as he got initiated on and the damage came out with Suppress the Insolent and all that stuff, there's nothing he could really do. And the problem with this is once you get behind in a lane like this, if you let Sobek get enough farm to be tanky, you see he has the Void Stone and the Reinforced Boots, plus the Mark of the Vanguard. You can't really go on Sobek ever. He's just too tanky to get killed unless you 2v1 him, and he's very, very caught out. And the thing is, like, Artemis has the Heartseeker, was stacking up a great amount. I don't know if there's a way to check out stack numbers. It doesn't look like there is. So Artemis ends up having the Heartseeker. Sun Wukong keeps dying, so he doesn't get those stacks up on his Heartseeker. So just further and further behind. Looks like Ra. Honor going to run right into Agni here, right outside the Fire Giant, doing some good damage. Lands atop, due to the Path of Flames, do get some damage. Here comes one ultimate, two ultimate, but Jerby uses the Aegis Amulet to avoid all the damage, and that's pretty much all that Agni has. If you can avoid one or two of the meteors that come out from Agni, there's not much damage that can follow up. At that point, he knows it's safe. Looks like Lass is going to come in the mid lane here as Hebo. Probably just to defend it so that Honor can go home. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. Hebo's going to defend this lane up. Odin's kind of floating in the right, and it looks like Monkey's over there doing the medium camp, trying to get caught up. Sobek diving past the tower, trying to go for Ra, trying to clear up this wave. This is called lane skipping. He's going to skip behind the tower and kill the lane by himself so that this lane will push up by itself as well, go up the tower. Divine Light comes out, uses the Celestial Beam, but just, this is what I was talking about. Once Sobek gets enough farm, he just doesn't even care. Sobek just doesn't even care the damage is coming out, and Ra is so far behind in damage, there's nothing a lot to do here. Mattypog come behind, might be going for the Sun Wukong if he can, lurking his way through the jungle. Looks like we got initiation in the mid lane. Hebo coming out, using the flowing waters. Impale comes out, but doesn't land on top of anyone. Odin might look for an ultimate here, lands the ultimate on top of Lassus. Lassus uses the crushing wave to do damage to both of them, and the Desert Fury comes out to take down both players. That looked like Lassus was stuck there, but the damage output is just too much. And the problem is Honor can shoot through the spears. Even with Lassus trapped in the spears alone, Honor can still have him out. Taking some damage from the tower here, Lassus is going to survive with one hit left. And Cupid's going to come here with a blue buff, but there's just such a deficit in gold and experience that they're just having so much trouble. If that were to be an even match with even gold and even experience, it's possible that that Odin ultimate would have saved them. But the fact that they lined up perfectly, and Lassus had the peace of mind to just sit there and wait, and the second they lined up together, the crushing wave came out and dropped Agni in one hit and dropped Odin low enough for the Desert Fury to come through and pick him off. Just a huge, huge reaction there, and it's almost like they knew exactly what was going to happen and when it was going to happen. Wukong just having a real tough time here. Probably going to come over and pick up this medium camp, trying to get his farm back up. He needs to get those stack up on his Heartseeker. The Heartseeker is going to be a bit of a pit in experience and gold spent just because he's not getting any use out of it. Going to pick up this medium buff, or this movement speed buff as well. Overhand smash, come down, trying to pick up this buff. At this point, the red team is behind by about 7k. Just about 7k, which 11 minutes in the game is a huge deficit. That is an amazing deficit. Searing Pain comes out on top of the Artemis. Looks like Artemis ended up using an Aegis Amulet. The Happy New Year comes out and she's caught here. Aegis Amulet trying to get out of it, but the boar comes out. The boar almost gets killed by the damage. She's going to use it, but the sprint comes out. Excellent trap. Here comes the somersault to go down on the Agni ultimate comes down. He knows he can't go that way. The overhand smash is going to come down and kill Artemis, and that was definitely a necessary pick for the monkey here, especially number one for the red team, but definitely for the monkey. He got the last hit there, so he got 5 free stacks for his Heartseeker. Got the extra gold for being the one to get the last hit, and also some extra experience. So he's definitely he really needed that. And the thing is, late game they're really relying on Monkey and Cupid, but Monkey especially. Monkey can really make or break team fights with his late game prowess, damage output, and ultimate. Looks like Last is kind of hanging out here. Do they have the ward? They have the ward here, so they know that they were coming. Last is just hanging out to see what they're gonna do, waiting with his buffs. They're gonna go for the damage buff here, and it looks like they know. Honor might jump over the wall here to jump into this. Goes for the ultimate, the Desert Fury, but he just pulls it out of range just in time. Looks like they got the damage buff. That Desert Fury is going to be down for now. Last is just hanging out, seeing if there's a pick that he can get. Looks like the mid lane's going to get pushed out. The mid tower is down. The right tower is down. The left tower is actually the only red tower that is still remaining that hasn't been picked yet. And that's simply because Ra has never left. Ra has been sitting here the entire game defending this the best that he can. Hopefully just trying to keep this tower stuck as much as he can. Wukong's been roaming a bit, trying to get some kills or some picks. Looks like Agni might get stepped on here with the Hebo Emir coming out. The water spout comes out and Agni gets pushed back. They're going to go for the Gold Fury. They're trying to just push him off there. Monkey comes in, gets Frost Breath here. Looks like the tail whip's going to come out. He's going to leap. Is he going to get out in time? Aegis Amulet comes out, but if he leaps, oh, the crushing wave one hits him. Just gets dropped by the pure damage of Hebo's ultimate. Hebo so far ahead at this point in the game. Heartbomb comes out on the Artemis. Does some good harassment there, but nothing going to come out of that. They're just floating. There's nothing they can do to defend this. They need to back off here. There's no way they can defend this. The Gold Fury is going to go down regardless of what they do. Here comes Sturmies on the ult and uses the ultimate, but drops him the insane damage. Has to jump out. Already throwing some meteors down. Lassus uses the Aegis Amulet. Searing Pain comes down. Ultimate comes out from here, but it's not going to hit anyone. It's going to force him back. Odin gets really low. He's going to be able to land a water spout. Backs off on the Hebo. Here comes The Agni dashing through the passive flames, but gets really low. Actually, Ymir might drop here, getting really low. Do they have anything to go over the wall? They don't. The Gold Fury goes down. Agni just waiting for a chance to pick someone off. Ultimate comes out. Here comes the Ignite, but the Sickening Strike comes down from Sobek. Creeping Curse, the dash of the stun, and here comes the Ymir Glacial Strike to pick off Agni. Agni knew that all of them were going to be very low, and he took a risk to try and head back into the back there and get some picks, some extra damage. He actually ended up being in the wrong spot. If he was over closer to blue, he would have run right into Ymir, who had the lowest HP at the time, and gets picked off. None of the players from Juice ended up dying there. There was a bit of a push. The problem is they had an early pick, and just picked off someone super quickly, and it happened to be their Sun Wukong, which was unfortunate, simply because they needed that Wukong and the power of the Year of the Monkey to start that fight off. Looks like Artemis getting stuck here, 2v1 in this lane. I don't really know why this camera spawns like that. So Artemis is going to defend this up. Looks like Sun Wukong's going to back off and go for some damage buffs or something to get his Heartseeker back up. Simply he died and lost all his stacks again. And this is one of the reasons why I don't advocate Heartseeker unless you have a certain amount of confidence. What the Heartseeker is a risk-reward type item. It can pay off a lot, but if you fall into a situation where you're dying a lot, once you die, you lose all the effectiveness you once had. So you kind of you fall off so quickly, and you have to spend a lot of time farming. If he can get those stacks back up, like he is right now and getting these last hits here, he can easily come back from this, but that's not good. It looks like Lassus gets jumped on here by Agni and Cupid, uses the Crushing Wave trying to get away, but he just gets caught in a pit of 3, almost 4 if Wukong had showed up. So a little bit too eager there. They kind of caught him out, and Ymir was a little bit too far away. So definitely a lack of awareness there from Lassus. He probably was going for an easy pick, and he's so far ahead at this point that he could have easily killed someone, but just got caught without any support. That's going to happen. That's an easy pick for them. Looks like Ra's stuck trying to defend this tower, isn't going to be able to defend it in time. Wukong and Agni and Odin and Cupid all heading over there. They're going to run into Ymir and on the side here near the Gold Fury. The Gold Fury is down, and see if they want to go after this. It's going to be a 2v4 at this point. Artemis and Sobek are going to be in the left lane pushing this up. Ymir's going to go for the blue buff, trying to get this back up. Just make sure you can just keep his mana up and get all those stuns down. Onher's going to be defending the mid lane. We look at the item choices here. Onher and Artemis are so comfortable right now. They have the Heartseeker stacks, they have the movement speed, they have the Executioner. Executioner is an excellent early game item. It gives you attack speed, it gives you power, it gives you penetration. It's just so powerful, coupled with the damage output from the Heartseeker. It's just so good. So at this point, Artemis and Onher are just very, very scary, and they're sitting really pretty for the mid-late game and the late game as well, just because the damage output is going to be so high. Hebo as well has some good early game items. The damage output is not going to be so great, but once he gets a big damage item like a rod or something like that, the penetration from the Spear of the Magus and the Obsidian Shard are going to pay off really, really well. The Ymir is going to go for a Focus Beard. If you look at the Anatoly here, he's going for a full Focus Beard. He's got Mark of the Vanguard, which is good damage output there, and then Boots of Celerity gives a little bit of focus and movement speed for initiation and a longer stun duration. Honor needs to be careful here because he is going to a little bit stuck for a flank here. Use the Desert Fury to try and take out the damage buff. Ends up picking it off, so that's definitely a good pick there. Gets an extra stack for his Heartseeker. Odin coming over here might get picked by the Ymir. See whose ward this is. This is the blue ward in the Fire Giant, just in case. At this point in the game, around a little bit later, around 20-minute marks is when you need to start looking for objectives. However, the blue team is very far ahead at this point in the game, so definitely coming out and warding those objectives so that you can come behind. One way to come back from a game you're losing is to come behind them and flank them while they're trying to accomplish an objective, especially Fire Giant, because Fire Giant has so much damage output is they can't handle the damage output of your team plus the Fire Giant. So you need to be grouping up here for the red team. Looks like the Frost Breath is going to come out with a wall, but Odin's just going to jump over and ignore it. Cupid's over in the left lane. This is a 4v4 situation. Actually, the Zapman backs up and Odin follows him through. They're just going to wait around here. They do have some good wards around the Fire Giant, and this might be a good opportunity for them to go in and ward the Fire Giant, but they're just grouping up. The mob squad coming through here trying to find something to pick off, and they have a good amount of wards, so they know that they're there. Ymir being the only one in the mid lane. Ra coming from the side here. Just waiting for a good initiation to come out. They might be going for the Fire Giant here or just baiting it at least. They just want to sit in here and hide. And if they can come behind him and catch one person, all they need is one pick. If they can get one pick, they can easily turn this in their favor and go for maybe a Phoenix. If they put it to a 4v5 situation with how far ahead they are, there's not a whole lot they can do. Water Spout comes out, doesn't hit anyone. Might go for a Frost Breath, but decides to wall off the Ra. Good choice there because the Monkey could easily leap out. Frost Breath on top of the Ra, but his team is not behind him. They're fighting someone else. Looks like Odin gets caught here. A lot of split up action. Jerby on her backing up. Emir's still leading the way, taking a lot of damage. Sobek and Artemis going after the Odin. Gets dropped really low here. Once the Bulwark of Hope drops, he's going to drop there. Cupid ultimate on top of all three of them, but it's probably the double amulet. As the Searing Pain comes out, and the double amulet avoids the damage from the Searing Pain. Agni dashes through the Path of Flames. Happy New Year comes out from Zapman, doing some good damage. Actually drops down the Artemis and the Hebo. That's a lot of damage I put. Looks like Sobek might go down here. Charge Praise away. Here comes the Honor. Uses the Impale to push the Ra backwards. Emir going after this to pick him off. Actually picks him off. Great pick from the air, but Emir doesn't get back to defend his team. Jerby trying to get out here. Uses the sprint, but are they going to be able to catch him? Good movement speed out from both of them. Dash coming out from Cupid could easily catch. Plus the Heavenly Agility. The Laser Beam's going to give him a bit of a movement speed boost. But here comes the Flutter coming out from Cupid. Those are in the Heart Bomb, but he's just so tanky. Wukong coming out here. Might jump on this tower. I doubt they're going to let this one go. This is a huge pick if they can drop the stacks. Jumps over the Somersault. Goes after the overhead smash. Does not land. Jerby trying to juke this the best that he can. Impales him into the tower. Zapman might die to the tower if he gets picked here. That would be huge. The Aegis Amulet just in the last second to avoid the death. And they get the honor. Excellent pick there. Good awareness to know that they had to get that kill. That was a huge kill for PcG here. If they let that go, that was a huge loss. He had a lot of stacks up on his Heartseeker and a huge amount. Oh, Emir just barely misses the Wukong backing there. Tries to go for the people that are backing up, but it's not going to be enough. Luckily, Emir went over and got that kill, but the thing is like, if you're playing a tank, guys, you can't abandon your teammates. The thing is a lot of people who play tanks play them as damage dealers in that kind of mindset where they go and chase kills. But the thing is, it's not your job to chase kills. Most of the time, it's really just a point to just stand in front of your teammates and make sure they don't get picked off. Leaving your damage exposed like that can get pretty hectic. Frost Breath comes out, plus the Glacial Strike, plus the wall. Odin's just going to jump over this. Not a big deal. Hebo sitting in the mid lane, kind of separated from his teammates here. Goes for the Water Cannon on top of the Agni. The Gold Fury is up, so we might see a contestment here trying to go for the Gold Fury. Sobek gonna back up here. Emir backing up as well. Artemis is this is all five. Onher's not here, but Onher, here's the thing about Heartseeker, guys. Onher just died. He just lost a whole lot of his effectiveness. His damage went down significantly. So now that they need him more than ever, he has less damage than he did. Ultimate comes out from Sobek, lurking in the waters. Gonna do some good damage, but an Aegis Amulet comes out from the Ra. Tail Whip pushes the Sturmey's back here. Uses the Aegis Amulet himself, avoids a lot of the Frost Breath on top of the Odin. Uses the Glacial Strike, doing some good slowing it. Goes for the ultimate on the Emir, but is Emir ultimate going to hit anyone? It's just going to hit the monkey. Happy New Year comes out. He's going to have to leap out with the Somersault. Here comes the Crushing Wave on top of him. Drops Rock kind of low. Sprint comes out from the Agni, trying to back off here. There's still 5 up. No one gets picked off at all. Looks like Odin actually barely got out there. He was the first one to get initiated on. Thankfully, he had his Bulwark of Hope. If Odin did not have this Bulwark of Hope, he would have definitely died there. This is one of the most powerful items in the game for defense, simply because it gives you good magic protection, health, focus, but also when you drop below 25% health, if you check out the passive here, you gain a shield that reduces damage by 50% for 2 seconds. So if you see those 3 or those several golden lines, that little barrier that appears over Odin, or anyone else has the Bulwark, looks like he is the only one in the game that has the Bulwark right now, that means he's taking half damage for the duration, and that's really what saved his life there. He dropped really low. Looks like they might be going for a Fire Giant here. Does the blue team have vision? They don't. They just stepped on the trap, so they do know they're there. After the trap was there, it goes down. Looks like the Solar Blessing is going to come down. Overhand Smash, doing some good damage. Here comes the Gunner's Might, and it's Odin's job to keep them away as long as they can. He's doing zoning here. He wants to make sure that they don't get into the Fire Giant to defend, and this was a bit of an eager Fire Giant attempt. So we'll see if it pays off here. Agni's actually going to end up using all of his meteors to take this down. Looks like they're going to end up getting it, but Zapman drops really low. Odin's ultimate comes out, traps only Sobek. They don't really want to initiate on this. Looks like Wukong jumps out the back. Searing Pain comes out. Charge Prey him into his team. Here comes Hebo. Ultimate comes out from Sobek, lurking in the waters, doing some good damage, but gets walled by Emir, unfortunately. They're going to go for the Odin, doing some good damage here. Cupid gets caught inside the Fire Giant and going to get picked off by the Artemis here. The Fire Giant buff gets wasted on the Cupid. Looks like some damage coming out. Emir again chasing the Odin away. Looks like Agni's going to Path of Flames away. Good wall from the Emir. Blocks off the Odin at least. Glacial Strike comes down. There goes the Bulwark of Hope defending the damage there. Happy New Year does not come out, although the sound does come out. Ultimate from the Emir and drops down the Odin. It's still all 5 up from Juice. 3 died there from PcG, and like I said earlier, that was a very risky Fire Giant. Even if you get it without them getting there in time, if you look at the Agni used all 3 of his meteors to kill the Fire Giant. So when they decided to show up, he had very little damage output. A lot of Agni's damage output comes from the meteors that he has stored up, and if he has none stored up, and they only come up every 20 seconds, guys, every 20 seconds, so you can take a full minute to recharge all 3 meteors, and that's all your damage output there. A lot of cooldowns were used on that Fire Giant to take him out. So 3 of them die, so only 2 of them get the Fire Giant, and they get a 3 pick there. So they're going to end up losing a tower here and 3 3 players, so definitely a huge, difficult situation for them. They're behind by about 8k, almost exactly 8,000 gold here, which is not as bad as we're expecting. They're making a few good plays here to try and keep in the game. They're definitely not out of it yet, guys, so definitely look forward to a good comeback here from PcG. This is an excellent game so far. A lot of actions going in and a few mistakes coming out, but definitely you can see the momentum, the pace that the Juice is setting here, and definitely the good reaction timing. I would say one of the biggest critiques I have for Juice, and almost one of the only critiques I have for Juice, is just the fact that Amir isn't sticking with the squishies too much and exposing them too much. If PcG recognized this, they could easily jump in and go after the squishies as if Amir backs off enough. Looks like Wukong's going over to steal some buffs, gets the CDR buff, and gets right out of there. Smart call by Wukong. You don't want to get caught in this kind of situation. He really, really needs to get that Heartseeker back up. He has 4 deaths, hasn't died in a while, thankfully. Happy New Year ended up not coming out there. If you heard that ultimate that came out from Sun Wukong, he screamed Happy New Year, but the stun came out just in time to avoid it. Sometimes the animation or the sound will come out, and if you get interrupted, it won't actually come out at all. So that ultimate didn't come out from Sun Wukong. You can see he still has it up. All the ultimates back up from everyone here. Hebo heading over to try to defend this, and we do know the Fire Giant down as the Gold Fury is down as well. So there's no objectives to be covering here. Definitely great vision. If we check through the visions here, I actually just skipped back a bit. So if we check through the visions, look at the vision for the blue team here. Here's the vision for the blue team. They have the Gold Fury completely covered, and then the whole right side of the map with a good flank covered as well. So definitely a lot of stuff that can come out here. See if we can't switch that back. Getting used to the controls here, guys. There we go. There's the full map again. I kind of want it to be like that. Like this. Here we go. Sobek and Artemis coming out here, going after Ra. Ra might get picked here, pushing out a bit. I think I actually skipped through the replay a little bit. I think I skipped backwards. Hopefully I skipped backwards. So no objectives here to be picked off. Nothing really to be done. So just waiting for a good initiation, a good pick, and people are just farming at this point. This is kind of a lull period where they're just waiting for something bad to happen on either team. A good opportunity to pick someone or to go after someone. Sobek come in here to the mid lane. There's 4 in the mid lane, and Ra is by himself in left lane. If we check out the items, Ra is significantly behind in item choice, and this is simply because he's playing in a support capacity when you're on the losing team. So when you're playing in a support capacity and you're on the losing team, you're not going to have much opportunity to get much gold. He went for the Void Stone, give him a little bit more focus for his passive, and then going for the Gem of Isolation. Gem of Isolation is probably the best item he could have bought for his team. Giving his team a little bit of slow is the best he can do. He's not going to do much damage simply because he's so far behind in farm. But getting that slow is really going to help his team out a lot. So it's probably the best choice of item he could have gone for. If you look for Agni, Agni's going very defensive. And even then, they're so far ahead, the damage output's not going to match that. So Agni's damage isn't going to be that great. We have Odin going for a pseudo-brawler build here. He has the Warrior's Hobby, attack speed, plus the Bulwark, and the Ankh of the Golem will give him some good damage output. Gold Fury is actually back up now, so we'll see if we have a contest for this. Hebo coming over here might get picked. Did they see him? They don't. Odin heading over here. They might go for this. Do they know that they're here? I know that Juice knows they're here because they have wards up, but does PcG know? They're kind of waiting. They might realize this. They might not. If we can check the visions here without skipping the replay. They actually see him now. So here comes the initiation coming out. They're going for this Gold Fury, but he's going to get a triple stun coming here. Double stun coming out. Desert Fury comes out for good damage. Searing Pain comes out, but there's no damage here. Agni going after some damage in the back. Here comes the boar, but the boar's not in range of anything. Huge oversight there. Odin uses the ultimate, tries to jump out. Getting really low here, but that spears might save him. Suppressing that comes down on Odin. Odin getting dropped for here. Gets dropped down. It's 45. Charge spray on top of the Agni. Happy New comes out from the Zapman. Zapman going after the Emir and has to jump out before the Frostbreath comes out. Good stun there from the best on Agni. But Zapman is now caught. Completely caught. Actually picks off Artemis and gets out just in time. Sprint coming out from Jerby. Jerby might get the kill here. One hit with the Impale. It takes him out. Anatoly dropping really low here with the Emir. Lassus is completely stuck and gets dropped. That is a 2-for-2 exchange and the only even exchange so far. Agni going after this. Emir is very low. If Agni can get a meteor on this Emir, we'll see if he tries to go for it. Does he know? Ultimate comes out. He's hoping they're backing under the tower, but they are not this time. So definitely an even exchange there. One of the oversights there, a couple missed ultimate. The Desert Fury came out, but it only hit their tanky characters. It hit Ra and it hit Odin. So some good damage coming out there, but not a whole lot. And then right afterwards, Odin's spears came out and prevented a lot of the damage coming out. There's nothing they could really do. It split them. The only people that can shoot over the spears are going to be Lassus with his water spout, and then Juice Jerby with his Desert Fury on her, and then the Suppressed Insolent from Artemis. This is the only abilities on Juice's team that can go over the Odin Spears as far as damage output. So there's a bit of a tough situation there. And then the boar came out right as they backed up, unfortunately, went right out of range. So the boar couldn't stun anybody. And then right afterwards, Zapman jumped over the wall. And this is one of the things I was covering earlier, guys. When the tanks back off from the squishies, from the physical carriers, the magic damage dealers, they get exposed super easily. So you saw back here that Artemis was pretty much alone with just the monkey. So the monkey was here with On Her and Artemis, and the tanks were up here fighting the front line. They were keeping the people from joining, but they weren't protecting their squishies there. And the dynamic of the team fight changes a lot. A lot of times if there's no one holding the front line, you can easily get swapped and just rolled over by a lot of damage output, but at the same time you can't expose your squishies like that. So Artemis fell to that pretty easily as Monkey jumped over the wall, and Artemis missed a couple shots with the board down and especially Insolent down. Not very good at melee range fights. You can easily see how Wukong, even how far behind he is. Look at the gold numbers. 12.6k for the Artemis, and Sun Wukong has 11.6k. So definitely a big of an advantage on the Artemis there, but the Wukong was able to pick him off anyway. Luckily, he didn't get away. Derby ended up picking that off, and Agni just running around. And this is the point where it's going to be tough, guys, because Agni falls off pretty easily late game, whereas almost every player on Juice's team doesn't. Odin kind of has to fall into a tank role now. As you can see, he's buying the Sovereignty, going for that tanky type items, just because his damage output's going to start falling off, and Agni really is going to start falling off in damage as well, as far as damage output and effectiveness during team fight. So this is kind of like they're putting a clock on the game here. As Artemis and On Her and Hebo go into late game, their damage is going to get more and more. Frost Breath comes out with the wall, but Zapman's just going to jump right over it. Avoid that completely. And we have this gathering in front of the Fire Giant once again, so we'll see what they choose to do. Hopefully PcG doesn't try to go for an eager Fire Giant like they did before and end up losing a lot of their players. Keeping those cooldowns up is huge. Looks like the wall comes out but doesn't catch anyone off guard there. Matty Pocket leading the way with Sobek trying to keep this front line active. Looks like we're going to have a Hebo heading back and trying to buy some. What does he pick up? Goes for the rod. Now has the Gem of Isolation and almost has a rod. His damage output is going to be huge. We'll see what he decides to go for. Almost identical builds on Her and Artemis here. Going for a Heartseeker into Warrior Tab B, Executioner, Deathbringer, and then a Titan's Bane. I suspect last item could be several items. They can go for a Rage. A Rage is an excellent item to complement the Deathbringer. Just pushing this lane up. Gold Fury is down, guys, and there's a lot of vision. If we go ahead and check out the vision once again for Juice, this, if you look at the minimap in the bottom right corner of the screen, this is only Juice's vision, and look at the vision they have. It is just immense. They have everything covered. They have this forward location covered. They have all of Fire Giant's corners and alleyways. And they have everything covered. Let's go ahead and switch back to the main vision here so we can see everything that's happening. Red team coming over here trying to defend this Fire Giant. They're just waiting for something to happen. The first person to go is going to set the pace for the rest of the team fight. Looks like Odin's going to step on that trap to get rid of it, but gets charged parade, and Sobek pushes the whole team back. This is exactly what zoning looks like, guys. Throws Odin back into the wall. Good wall from Amir here. Bit of a hesitance coming out from the damage output. It looks like the Emir ultimate's going to come out. Sobek ultimate come out. The boar comes out, lands on top of Agni. Agni drops kind of low here. Artemis is going to follow through. The ultimate comes out from Cupid. Might be able to get some picks here, but what's going to happen? Odin doesn't have his leap yet. Goes for the Frost Breath. It just gets it up in time. Charge spray on top of the Zapman. Zapman goes out Happy New Year, but the Aegis Amulet just in time. Might go for Lassus instead. Both Aegis Amulets used perfectly. Searing Pain comes out from Ra, but does not land as the Aegis Amulet was already active. Steps on the trap from Kyo here, and it's just not much. It's a hurry up and wait, guys. Definitely some really excellent plays from the tanks. Emir using an excellent choice to just zone the people out. That was an excellent initiation from Sobek here. As soon as he stepped on the trap, got the charge spray and went immediately forward and tail whipped them all back. This is the other side of the spectrum when you're not defending your squishies, you're holding the front line by pushing people back. So it's just like a pro-con type situation. Ani coming out here, has 3 meter steps on that, doesn't want to get impaled. And there's a Raven flying through. If you have ADD, this is what it looks like. Lands on top. Anyways, Agni's going to back off here. Looks like On Her and Emir, Sobek. Emir's going to back off as well. Artemis farming up the lane here, gets this stacked up. Let's see what he decides to go for. He might have enough gold to pick up his last item. Last item is going to be a lifesteal item. The Soul Eater definitely needed some lifesteal, and giving the attack speed there is going to help him out a lot. Plus the extra HP and make him more survivable. He might need something to help him against the Wukong jumping in and fighting him individually, but that remains to be seen. Looks like red team's going to go for the Gold Fury here, trying to take this down. Heart Bomb comes out, doing some good damage. Does the blue team know? They actually do. If you look at the minimap, they have no knowledge of the fact that they're here. They have no knowledge of this. They're going for the Fire Giant, but trading Fire Giant for Gold Fury is definitely a favorable trade. The buff is way more worth than the 300 gold. Looks like Zapman knows about it. Go for the Happy New Year probably. Jumps out, but he's going to get picked here. Bulwark Ult comes out. Desert of Fury and Aegis Amulet to avoid it, but I don't see him getting out of this. Happy New Year comes out just in time. Shin getting damaged a lot here, but gets picked off. Huge damage comes. Ymir ultimate coming out, lands on top of the Agni. Agni drops really low, and Path of Flames right into an Honor Her trap and gets picked off there. No deaths from Juice here, but 3 deaths on the red team. That was so eager by Zapman, and actually gets walled here. Glacial Strike comes down. Aegis Amulet, but he's not going to survive this. Here comes the Water Cannon to take it down raw. That's a 4-for-0 exchange, and I attribute most of that to Zapman's eagerness to jump in there and try and get that Fire Giant. He definitely needed to just let them have it at that point. His teammates were way too far away to help him, and the second he used his leap to initiate, he didn't have it to get out. What he should have done, if he was going to do that anyway, is he could have easily just gone in from the front and then used his leap to get out if he needed it. Middle Phoenix is going to drop here. Let's see if they end up going for a Minotaur attempt. This might be game, guys. We'll see. Cupid's the only one to defend it, and everyone's down for at least 30 seconds. This is probably going to be game. I don't see Cupid defending this at all. Artemis going for the charge spray, and that's going to be game, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and definitely give me as much feedback as you possibly can so I can improve my strategy here.